Hello, welcome to the Roundhouse podcast with Paul Sulentrop of Wichita State University Strategic Communications. Thank you for your time. We appreciate you listening. Our guest today is Wichita State men's basketball assistant coach Iain Laymon. He is here to talk about the Shockers, who are on a 3-game win streak. Iain came to Wichita State with Coach Paul Mills 3 years ago, both of them coming from Oral Roberts. Iain is from Cambridge City, Indiana. He worked at the University of Indiana as a student under Coach Tom Crean from 2013 to 17. The Shockers, they are 13-8, 5-3 in the American Conference. Next game is at Tulsa at 1 p.m. Sunday. That's on ESPNU. Iain, take us through the 3-game win streak. Includes a win at USF, which looks better and better, especially after they beat Florida Atlantic over the weekend. Then came home, handled ECU, and then beat the Memphis Tigers on Saturday, which is always a big deal around here. What's going on with the Shockers during this stretch?
Yeah, I think we're just playing really confident. The FAU loss, every loss can kind of take you a couple different ways. And we got to Tampa before USF and met as a staff, met as a team, and had some pretty frank discussions of what we were doing wrong, what we needed to do, guys that needed to step up, how we needed to step up. If you just tell someone you need to play better, it's tough. But when you tell someone this is exactly what you need to do to help the team, and everyone's bought in. No one really cares about I'm not getting enough shots. KG took 5 shots against FAU, and we told him, KG, you're our leader offensively. You are a shot creator. You may create shots for other people, but you got to create shots for yourself as well. And he's taken that, on his shoulders, and guys have taken on his shoulders to find ways for us to get looks for him. But I think they understand when KG gets better looks, they eventually get better looks because all the defense zeroes in on KG. He's been a willing passer. Even in transition, teams focus so much on KG, we're able to get other guys look in transitions. It helps our bigs get opportunities because they're focused on our perimeter. So guys just buying into a system, whether it's, you got to rebound more, you're undersized, so you got to fight harder in the post. We need you to run more in transition. We need you to set up the offense. We kind of ask guys different ways to challenge them, and so far they've bought into it wholeheartedly. And yeah, KG's been part of it, but it's top to bottom of just buying into how we need to play, and that's even happened from our red shirts. Guys have bought into helping in practice, and instead of taking a scout team segment not as seriously, now they're trying to imitate the defense or offense of our upcoming opponent as much as possible. So I think the buy-in it's not been a selfish buy-in, it's been a communicative buy-in to get everybody just towards the same cause. And I think you kind of can see the success we had in South Florida. I think it's a better win than people even realized at the time, but they're a really good, really, really good team. We saw them play 3 games in the Bahamas earlier this year, so we knew how good of a team they were.
And that's a road win I think a lot of American Conference teams will not have at the end of the season. To remind people, so you mentioned the Florida Atlantic game. The Owls beat the Shockers 85-67, and you've won 3 in a row since. So let's go back to Kenyon Giles, who I think fans really enjoy watching because of his shot-making ability. Also because he's just so small and he's fun to watch. It's fun to watch a guy like that. So he was being a little too unselfish. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, he took 5 shots against Florida Atlantic, and maybe he just wasn't feeling it or, wanted to get other people involved. But we kind of told him, hey, if you want to be that guy and we think you can be that guy for us, you can't go a game taking 5 shots. Now, if teams are putting so much attention on you, you create for other people. But we thought he was just being a little too passive. So he accepted it, and we found ways, what do you want to do to get more shots? What makes you feel more comfortable? And then our guys have found ways to help him get shots. And by him getting shots, like I said, it does allow other people to get shots. It's almost a backwards thinking, but the more we can get KG involved, eventually teams focus so much on him because he's such a lethal scorer that now against ECU we got a couple dunks, and one of them being Karan in transition. He got a wide open dunk that KG was just able to hand it off to him because all the attention was on KG. So yeah, one of them that we told was KG, you need to be more aggressive. We just expect a lot out of you, and your team does too. These guys trust you. They believe in you. They know the work you put in. They see you do it every day. And so you don't have to worry about, I'm worried I'm taking too much. If you're taking good shots, then everyone is okay with it. I think he was just a little bit worried about, some of the shots. I mean, you've seen some of the shots he takes are circus shots, but he's such a good scorer. They're layups for him at times where it's just he's just such a efficient scorer that we wanted to let him know, like, the whole team believes in you, and like you're gonna have to take some tough shots, and we're not saying force the issue, but take some tough shots and get the offense going. And if it's not going, you can lean on other people, but it can't be from the get-go that you're passive.
I think one of the things that has stood out about him is his composure, his maturity level, I guess, because he does get a lot of defensive attention, and it hasn't seemed to rattle him. What is it about his personality where he can handle all that's been thrown at him so far?
I think he's just got like a belief in himself, and that's a big key, is he just believes in himself, and he knows that once you see one team put all their attention on you, you start to figure out just different ways it can crack. And you have Will and E-Man who help relieve pressure with ball screens, or when they put two on him, they become better passers in the middle of the court. So he kind of knows, if you put two on me, we got a 4-on-3 advantage once the ball's out of his hands. And so different guys have stepped up, and when KG's gets two on him, you've done your job. Coach Mills always says, if you get two people, if other team puts two people on you, you're a really good player. And so when teams put two on KG, he's done a good job of finding other people and kind of letting the dominoes fall from there. So other guys have done a good job of finding open spaces when KG does get a double team to then create opportunities for everybody else.
Building significant first half leads, 15, 18, and 21 points in the last 3 games. That seems like an important part of this streak. How do you pull that out of a team? How do you coach up a team to come out ready to, I guess the phrase that's been used is throw the first punch?
Yeah. I think it helps that this team, they do get excited for every game day. Other than TJ and Dylan, I think we got a bunch of upperclassmen. So those two are underclassmen who get a majority of the minutes. Brian would be another underclassman. But other than that, these guys know how important it is to get an early lead, just to kind of set the tone. It's against FAU, we got down pretty early, and it kind of took your just breath away, and it's hard once you're on your heels to sometimes get back. Now we've done it multiple times this year, but it's hard. It's hard to use all that energy to come back into a game. So our guys understand how important the first part of the game is. Whether it's the scouting report, one of the coaches put together, Coach Mills put together, we understand different ways we can attack a team. And then our guys just understand executing the scouting report, and then the importance of getting out early and playing with a lot of energy, because you can carry that energy the whole game. But if you start flat, sometimes it's hard to then bring up the energy after the first or second media timeout.
Memphis and ECU, they would rank as 2 of the stronger defensive games for the Shockers this season. Memphis committed 17 turnovers. Neither of those teams shot well from 3-point range. What do you like about the Shocker defense recently?
I think we've accepted that defense is it's 5 people guarding. It's not the guy on the ball specifically. And so if I know I'm on the ball, and if I give up a step, that my teammates are going to be there in their gaps, or someone's going to have the rim, or if we're in a ball screen coverage, that as long as I do my job and they pass out of it, there will be somebody there to do the next job. So I think buying into the whole concept of it's a team concept defensively. It's not I have to win my matchup because no one is there to help me if I give up a step or someone gets by me. We've kind of bought into the whole guarding as a group, guarding as a team, and then where we're really good is rebounding. You got to end the possession with a missed shot, but you're not done there until you get the rebound. So then ending with rebounding, we've done a good job. Memphis, we did a good job of limiting second chance opportunities. So that's been big, is guarding as a team, but then getting our rebounders in there and getting guards in there to help if there's a long rebound to be in there to clean it up too.
2 observations. You tell me if I'm right on these. One, it seems like in the last few games, Kenyon Giles has been more going for steals, more aggressive, trying to create some chaos. Has he been? Is that an intentional thing?
Yeah, he leads our team in deflections, so that's one thing we told him. We've talked to him. Obviously FAU, I mentioned the offense, but it's keep being our deflections leader. Now, deflections don't necessarily always lead to steals. I think he leads us in steals, but it's not always we're looking for steals. We're looking for him to just be aggressive on the ball and be a little bit of a pest, because we're undersized. We're not the biggest team in the world, especially at our guards position, so our little guards do have to be more of a pest defensively, and KG leads us in steals on a consistent basis. Almost every game he's leading us in deflections, and that's a big key, because if you just get deflections, you may not get the steal, but you're going to cause teams to get out of their offense, get out of their flow if you can just kind of get your hands on the basketball and force them to either catch the ball further away from the rim or kind of break down the offense where now their timing's all thrown off. So him being a leader of our deflections defensively has been a big key, and it's something that we challenged him with.
And then this is one of those things I feel like maybe I'm noticing it, and then Taylor Eldridge of the Eagle mentioned it in one of his video breakdowns. Michael Gray Jr., he took 2 charges against Memphis, and it seems like he's been in the right place, the right time more often on defense. Am I seeing that correctly?
Yeah, he's always been a charge taker. He took some early in the year for us too. And I think now the way the rules have changed, off-ball charges are so much harder. Just, they established more of an NBA rules for it, so it's not like the old days where you could get there a quarter of a second before and take a charge. So he's really good on ball. As soon as someone throws their arm out, he knows that they're out of control, and he's just really kind of savvy defensively. And he's really good about off ball. If someone gets beat, he'll do different types of switches, and he can communicate through it. So yeah, Mike's a really good defender, especially off the ball. But he just kind of has an understanding of when players are a little bit out of control or throw their body into him of when it's an opportunity for a charge. And yeah, he's been really good for us, especially off the ball.
Center Will Berg had a season-high 4 assists versus Memphis, and I know that was something that Paul Mills talked about way back in the summer, that you would be able to use some of Will's ball-handling, passing abilities. Is that something he's getting more and more comfortable with, being a guy who can distribute and set up teammates?
Yeah, I think it's something he's always been comfortable with. I think now with KG playing so well that teams are putting so much attention on KG that Will just becomes a natural release valve. And so now Will's being able to show off his skill set more. And maybe a little bit more comfort, but we've known Will's a good passer and Will's shown it in practice. And I think now just the way teams have tried to take away KG, it leaves Will an opportunity to then create for others. So I think it's a little bit of both. I think he's getting comfortable with it, but I think it's just an opportunity for us to show off what he's been able to do. In practice, just the way teams are trying to take out KG, just they put 2 guys on him, so therefore Will is the release valve, and it allows him to create opportunities for everyone else.
Dylan Batiste played very well the last 5 games. Take us through his progress. What's going on with Dylan?
Yeah, Dylan's just, with ever since Jarrett has been out, Dylan has had to step up, and he could have, before that, kind of just put his head down and try to get through the season, but every day he came to practice and wanted to get better and just try to find little ways to help, and now you see what happens when you do that, and I think he's been amazing working with him every day. He's always trying to learn. He takes criticism. He tries to get better. He watches film of whoever he's going to defend just to kind of get an understanding of what they could do. And he's a good athlete too. There's some stuff that he's got to learn, and part of it is just being under control when he drives or gets to the rim, and he's done a really good job of taking that on and being under control at the rim, and I think you kind of see his finishing's gone up and his ability to just be under control, and if it's not there, he's kicked out a couple times, and then I think when you just kind of do the right thing, eventually good things happen, and it's happening with playing time, and even you could say that 3, I'll say that 3 is a result of him just doing all the right things. Sometimes you just have a prayer going, and so, yeah, no, Dylan's been awesome, just kind of done all the right things, and the start of the season's not what he wanted, but it definitely his perseverance and just doing the right things has helped out for him.
And the 3-pointer that Ian is referring to was a kind of late in the shot clock 3-pointer that Dylan made, and I think Memphis had it down to maybe 11 at that point. So it ended up being that was a significant basket that Dylan was able to make. Another guy who I thought was really crucial in the first half of that Memphis game was Brian Amuneke. He made 3 3-pointers and really helped the Shockers build a significant lead. What's the key for Brian to keep contributing?
Shoot. He is a elite 3-point shooter, so that's what we've been telling him is, one of our multiple meetings with him is like, we believe in you as a shooter. Like, you are an elite shooter. And I think sometimes he'd be worried, like, oh, it's not a wide open 3, so maybe I shouldn't take it. And just kind of giving him, like, same thing we told KG is, like, all these guys on this team believe in your shooting ability, so shoot it. So I think that's kind of what it's been for Brian, and I think Memphis was the most aggressive he's been from a shooting perspective. Most guys, when you say aggressive, it's them getting downhill. For Brian, it's him getting shots up when he has the opportunity to. So we just want him to be aggressive, trying to find his shot, and he's just such a good shooter. He shot over 40% all of last year when he was at Fresno State, so we know he has the capability to shoot, and We just want him to shoot almost without thinking. Don't think whether it's wide open or not. If you have an opportunity to get a decent look, you're a good enough shooter, it's probably going to go in.
So my memory, the first one he made was open. The second one, he went up right over a defender. That's the kind of shot you want to feel him empowered.
Yeah. The first one, I think Memphis kind of sagged off with him just because he hasn't made a ton of threes throughout the year. So I think their game plan was focus on other players and let everyone else try to beat you from the perimeter. And so I think that allowed him to see that first one go in, really helped. But yeah, that second one he took, I think he took 5. I think all 5 were good looks that we expect him to shoot. So that second one was kind of what we expect to hit, what he hits every day in practice. And then it's just the belief in him that we know he can make those shots, and his belief in himself that he can take them and make them.
Crom Boyd is shooting 75% from the free throw line during American games. That's up from 64% for the season, so we've seen a marked improvement recently for him. How does Cron go about getting better at the free throw line?
They got to want to get better and, put in the work, and free throws are mental, so you have to have confidence when you're out there. So there's a mental approach and the approach of just like putting the time in. The other thing we do is there's a free throw club where guys come in and get free throws, just making, however many each day before practice or right after practice, just to, be in there and work on it. And KB comes in, he doesn't complain, he does it. Will Berg's another person that came in and works on his free throws a lot. So I think it's just like a mental approach of, confidence when you're out the line. You may be a bad free throw shooter, but if you're sitting there, I'm going to miss this free throw, you probably will miss. So just having a positive mental mindset when you're up there, but then the practice, before and after practice, putting yourself in a situation where doing it after practice so you're a little bit more tired, it's, if you come in and you're completely fresh, free throws are a little easier. But if you do after practice, it creates more of an end-of-game situation where you may be a little bit more fatigued mentally and physically. And if you can make them there, building that confidence on making them in a game.
Hi, this is Rick Muma, president of Wichita State University. Check out the latest episode of the Forward Together podcast. Each episode, I sit down with different guests from Shocker Nation to celebrate the vision and mission of Wichita State University. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Free throw shooting. Wichita State has technology that can help an athlete determine how accurately the ball is going through the hoop. Tell us a little bit about that system.
Yeah, so we have what's called the NOAA, and guys will come in, and whether they do it with a jump shot or free throw, it can do all sorts of shots. It measures the depth of your shot, how far left or right of center you are, and then the arc. So you're ideally left or right of center, you're at 0 inches, so it's right in the middle. Your depth ideal is 11 inches, so the rim's 18 inches. You don't want to be 9 inches because you're actually closer to the front rim. You want to be a little bit deeper, so 11 inches is the ideal depth. And then your arc ideally is 45 degrees. So those 3 combined would be the ideal perfect shot. Most of the time we have guys focus on one or the other, and it can announce out a score at you. So if we want a guy to work on his arc, we can set it where it reads out your arc, or the depth of the shot, we can have it where it reads out the depth of the shot. So that's one thing we utilize to help guys with their shots, and it's just an instant feedback that you don't have to worry about too much. Sometimes the numbers can bog you down. That's what the coaches worry about. The players, we can just let them focus on one number. So, if a player has a flat shot, we can tell them, you're at 40 degrees. You need to be closer to 43 and slowly get there. So as they shoot, they know if it says 39, all right, I wasn't very good. But when it says 43, all right, just kind of get that subconscious feel of what 43 feels like. And we can eventually get it up to what ideally be 45. But just give them one number with instant feedback. That way we don't have to go back and be like, today your average arc was 41 degrees, so it was still a little flat. It's instant feedback that they can use. Some guys really like it. Other guys, it kind of gets in their head. So it's a base by base, person by person basis of how it can be used. But the summertime, it's used a lot too.
Does your coaching staff have a number in mind for a player who needs to work on free throws, do you tell him, all right, you need to take 1,000 before it's really going to be effective, or is it 500? Do you guys think in those kind of terms?
I think with free throws, if it was 3-point shooting, there's more of a number. You got to make a minimum of 100 a day. The summer would be more, but with classes in basketball, you can't expect them to make 1,000 every day, and go to classes and be fresh legs. In the summer, we do more of that. With free throws, since there's so much more mental, we try not to say you have to make 200 free throws. We set, come in for a free throw club where you're going to make this money at this depth, and it kind of changes throughout if it's a certain person. But no, we don't want guys. We want guys focusing on their free throws without thinking the world is falling on your free throws. It is a small part. It's an important part, but we tell guys, you have to come in. Here's what free throw club is. Come in and get your work in and do this. But no, there's not. You have to make 1,000 a day. We have a minimum of what you do have to make, but there's not. We try to address it and then not make it the biggest deal in the world, because the last thing we want is them going to the free throw line and we're telling them, you have to make your free throws. You have to do this, because then now the adverse effect is that's all you're hearing when you're at the free throw line. So it's a complicated formula that I don't think anyone has the answer to, but you try to walk a fine line of addressing it, making sure guys get in the gym, which we do, and then not making guys too mental about it where that's all they think about it at the free throw line was, oh gosh, I'm a bad free throw shooter. I've been told I'm a bad free throw shooter. I have to come in every day to do this. But you want them to work on it and have a mental confidence when they're up there.
My story that explains how some coaches look at free throws is that when we would ask Mark Turgeon about a bad free throw game, he would just shrug and say the wrong guys got fouled.
Yeah.
And I think that, it is kind of an odd thing. Who's in the free throw club? Describe that for fans.
The free throw club I think it's 75%. So if you're under 75%, like my numbers could be a little bit off, you have to come in. It's for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and you have to make so many free throws. So before practice, you'll see a group of our guys that come in early. And a lot of them are already here because they do individual workouts before practice and get their own workouts in. But this is just a set time where you have to shoot free throws. You have to focus on your free throws. Usually there's minimal talking going on because we want guys to focus on their free throws and get a feel for their shot, and Noah can give them a direct feedback. So if you're under, I believe it's 70 or 75%, you come in on certain days where we have the free throw club, and you just get free throws up. And then we talk about, it's a club that you don't want to be in, but it's still a club. So you can leave the club whenever you want. You just got to get above a certain percentage, and you can leave the club. And usually, if a guy leaves and then goes back in, he just stays in, because we've had guys who are so competitive. If they get above 75% and then drop to 73%, they hated that they had to go back, and they end up just staying there and finishing the free season in the free throw club, because it is important for them to make their free throws too.
Have you ever been in a coach's meeting where a coach has said that player would really benefit from the Rick Barry underhand free throw method?
We have not talked about that. I have talked about with a former coach that I worked with. We've talked about if a bad free throw shooter should just try to bank it every time. And, then you worry about depth a little bit less because you're just throwing it at the backboard and letting the backboard then, kind of soften it up as it hits the rim. So we haven't talked about underhand, but with other people I have talked about, should people just bank it? And I think in South Korea, that's something they do, and they're good free throw shooters. I think like 7 of the top 10 players a couple years ago all banked their free throws. But yeah, it's no underhand, but definitely have talked about potentially having players bank it. I think it's a little extreme, so I wouldn't suggest it, but I love just talking through different situations and scenarios with people.
You never know what might work.
Yeah.
So this team has been described easy to coach, low maintenance, they're good students. In these days, recruiting is just such a fast turnaround. How do coaches evaluate recruits for those kind of intangibles, and why has Wichita State apparently been successful in that area?
Yeah, it's speed dating now. You find out about a player, and they could commit within less than a week. So you are, as soon as a player enters the portal that we think would be a good fit for us, whether it's playing style in a combination of geography, they have family from Wichita or, in the area, that's always a big key. But we really, We want to get to know the parents. Coach Mills wants to get one-on-one time with the player just to get a feel that they're going to fit here, because you may be a good enough player, but if you're not a good person, it's going to be a little bit harder to get through beginning of summer workouts in June all the way through the season in March or April. And that's important to us, to just be around people you like. And Coach Mills always says good people make good players. And so that's always been a core of his coaching philosophy, is he wants to be around good people who, not only want to play basketball, but want to play basketball for a future, for a career. Because if basketball is important to them, being a good person is important to them, usually you're going to be a little bit more coachable, and you're going to want to find ways to get better. You're not going to be like, well, I already got here at Wichita State, so you can't tell me how to get better. Most of these guys are like, all right, I'm at Wichita State. How can I get even better? What's going to help me play professionally? What's going to be more attractive to, when I try to go overseas or to the NBA or to the G League? What can I do to make me better? And so having players that are hungry to get better and want to take criticism and coaching, and then just want to be good people. Most of the parents that we deal with are easy to deal with. We bring them in on visits, and it's weird because by the time you leave a visit, there's multiple parents who you feel like you already know. And so when we see them on a road trip where they come to it, it's funny. So many of the parents on this team I go say hi to in the stands or want to talk to, and that's really cool, is that your parents can be involved and be helpful, and their kids are just coachable and really good people. Whether if you enjoy being around your team every day in practice, it does make a difference because it's something you look forward to every day.
Ian, tell us about your career pathway. How did you decide to get into coaching?
My dad was my high school coach. Coached me in every sport growing up, and he always just talked about, what if I tried to make it more than just high school basketball? And I always thought that was like a cool thing. When I was a freshman in high school, everyone talked about what they're going to do, and I was like, I'm going to go to Indiana and I'm going to be a manager. People are like, you're going to be a manager? And that's kind of what I look forward to, because it was an opportunity for me to get into coaching. And there's so many college or NBA coaches or front office executives who were managers at Indiana that I thought that was just an easy opportunity for me to get in there. So I knew, when I was young, I wanted to be a coach. I wasn't a good enough player. My dad reminded me of that, even as my coach, that probably no career in playing. So I was told that pretty young, and went to Indiana with the goal of, helping the basketball team and seeing where it goes, and then enjoyed it enough, and went on to be a GA with Coach Mills at Oral Roberts, and had enough success there that I was able to hop on as a full-time position with them, and just work up with Coach Mills. So I've worked with two coaches, and I think it's been 13 years now, and Coach Crean and Coach Mills, and two guys who I really look up to, really respect, and just being around good people who care more than just about the basketball, that care about you as a person, has been really, really key to me, and just help me keep the balance of coming in and doing basketball every day, but understanding that even my boss views me as more than just a basketball or an employee, a basketball coach or an employee, that he actually cares about me and, can ask me questions about my life. And that's really important. So, started out at Indiana as a manager, and then just worked my way up to eventually being with Coach Mills, and now here at Wichita State with him. What
was your connection with Paul Mills that got you to Oral Roberts?
There was no connection whatsoever. I originally reached out to every Power 5 school. That's where I was going to start. I figured if there's GAs, it's probably programs in the Power 5 with a little bit more money. So I reached out to Coach Mills, and he called me on my graduation ceremony at Indiana. And so I ignored it, and he texted me and just kind of said who he was. So I called him, and he was like, I just took the job at Oral Roberts. I already called Coach Crean about you. He said, no brainer, I need to hire you. I was going to do interviews, but I trust Coach Crean so much, I'm offering you the job. And I was like, okay, let me talk to my family and let you know, we're all in town, we're about to get dinner. And I told my dad, this is awesome. The coach at Oral Roberts, don't even know where Oral Roberts is. And my dad's like, so you're going to Oral Roberts? And I was like, well, I haven't told him yes yet. I wanted to talk to you guys. And he made me leave the restaurant again to call him back to take the job. So there was no connections. Coach Mills and Coach Crean knew each other, but I didn't know about them knowing each other or anything like that. It just kind of, fate kind of played its role, and me getting to Coach Mills and Coach Crean saying good words about me.
Dad was happy to have his son have a job.
Yes, he was just as may have been happier than I was to kind of live his dream. He wanted to be a coach, so he calls me after games or before games, and it's funny because he can tell, he knows me well enough to know by my mannerisms during the game. He's like, "It was your scout today, wasn't it? You were doing this on the sideline," and I'll be like, "Yeah, it was my scout," or even he'll be like, "Oh, that was Coach I know PJ Stouter, that was KP scout." And I'm like, "Yep." He's like, "All right, he was doing this a little bit different." So he even watches the bench just to kind of get a feel because he loves the coaching side of it so much.
Shockers play at Tulsa at 1 p.m. Sunday on ESPNU. Next home game for Wichita State, they play Charlotte on February 4th. Ian, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Roundhouse Podcast, courtesy of Wichita State University Strategic Communications. We encourage you to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. You can find more Roundhouse content at GoShockers.com.
Hawkins going to go to work on Washington, and it was dug out of there by Bijan Cortez. Lob to Beverly. 7-point lead at the under 8 timeout here at Charles Coke Arena.